Hello and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Tony Santos.
And I'm Jess Brumana. Election Day is just around the corner, and nearly 4 million voters in California have already cast their vote. Los Angeles County has returned the most ballots in the state, about 680,000. The county registrar says this is low compared to the last presidential election, but record voter turnout is still expected nonetheless. Online voter registration ends November 4th, but you can still register in person on Election Day.
Attempted assaults on democracy occurred across multiple cities in Washington and Oregon over the weekend. Ballot boxes in Portland and Vancouver, right across the state border and Columbia River, were set on fire. Law enforcement says they believe the two incidents are connected. The vehicle involved has reportedly been identified and an investigation is underway.
Vice President Kamala Harris and presidential nominee Donald Trump try to make a final push for their campaigns with early voting in full swing. Harris campaigned in Philadelphia, promising to win the presidential election last weekend. Despite polls showing a neck-and-neck race, Harris's supporters are confident she'll win. Pro-Palestinian protesters disrupted the beginning of Harris's remarks, prompting boos from the people before the demonstrators were escorted out.
Meanwhile, 20,000 out-of-towners filled Madison Square Garden for Trump. The former president described the U.S. as an occupied country because of the surge in immigration at the southern border and emphasized his plans to impose tariffs on foreign imports and companies that outsource production. His campaign brought out a number of high-profile speakers, including Elon Musk, to excite the crowd.
Comedian Tony Hinchcliffe is receiving backlash following controversial statements he made at the rally.
Believe it or not, people, I welcome migrants to the United States of America with open arms. And by open arms, I mean like this. It's wild. And these Latinos, they love making babies, too. Just know that.
Hinchcliffe made racist remarks towards Puerto Rico and disparaged Black Americans, Latinos, and Jewish people. Democrats and at least 2 Florida Republicans, including Senator Rick Scott, condemned Hinchcliffe's remarks. U.S. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez also called the situation upsetting.
Israel has banned the United Nations Relief and Works Agency from operating in the country. The UNRWA is the primary UN agency providing aid to Palestinians. This comes after the U.S. and multiple European countries expressed concern over the humanitarian crisis in Gaza and the current lack of aid in the region. Israeli parliament is considering 2 additional bills, one that will classify the UNRWA as a terrorist organization, and another that will strip its personnel of privileges offered to United Nations employees.
Los Angeles District Attorney George Gascon is awaiting a court decision that would make Eric and Lyle Menendez eligible for parole immediately.
They have rehabilitated, they have shown the capacity to be integrated back into our community, and if they were under 26 years of age when they committed the crime, they qualify, given the number of years they've been in prison, for what is called youthful parole.
New evidence revealed could result in a reduced sentence. The decision will come down to whether or not the court believes they have been rehabilitated. A parole board would then schedule a hearing. The case has been sent to Van Nuys Courthouse, and the next hearing is set for November 26.
In state news, Governor Gavin Newsom has proposed expanding the California Film and Television Tax Credit Program. Newsom says this expansion will be a vital step in creating and keeping local jobs. This follows a steady decrease in production in California.
And there's an old saying, if you want to do well in the future, you got to invest in the future. And so this is about investing in the future of this industry, future of the state, the values we hold dear, investing in our creativity, this great cultural export, and investing in the men and women in closing you see behind me.
This expansion would be more than double the available funds to incentivize entertainment production in the state and make the program the largest of its kind in the U.S.
After the Eliza Canyon gas leak, which released methane across the San Fernando Valley, activists are calling for the closure of the facility that caused it. Our Tony Santos has more on how the activists are making their mark.
So I'm currently standing here at the corner of Tampa and Rinaldi here in Porter Ranch because, as you can see right behind me, several people have gathered to beg Governor Newsom to shut down Eliza Canyon.
No more lies, no more leaks. It's time to shut it down. Shut Eliza down.
Shut Eliza down.
Shut it all down.
Shut it all down.
People are very tired. They're very fed up having to constantly beg your own governor to care about prioritizing public health over making a fossil fuel company richer and richer and richer gets so exhausting.
This is, of course, the 9th year anniversary of what is deemed as the biggest methane and palytoxin blowout in U.S. history from SoCalGas's Eliza Canyon gas storage facility. Residents and climate activists are hopeful that Governor Newsom and the Public Utilities Commission will shut it all down by 2027.
And we've had Governor Newsom himself personally send me a text message saying he's going to shut this down. And now we need to have him fulfill that promise.
From Porter Ranch, Tony Santos, Valley View News.
Tony, thank you. Dia de los Muertos is later this week, and families have started building their ofrendas. Ofrendas, or altars, are to honor those loved ones who have died. Ofrendas serve as a bridge between the world of the living and the world of the dead. Tables are filled with items such as candles, pictures, and food. Every ofrenda also includes the 4 elements: water, wind, earth, and fire. The holiday is filled with beautiful symbols, traditions, and imagery.
Diwali, the Hindu festival of lights, is also celebrated this weekend. It's a 5-day celebration symbolizing the victory of light over darkness. There are many opportunities around the city to join the celebration.
An educational resource summit was held last week for nearly 500 middle school students in the San Fernando Valley. Our Eliza Portillo has more on how the summit seeks to help students in low-income areas access STEAM careers early.
More than 400 middle school students were invited to attend the first San Fernando Valley Future Green Leaders Summit here in Sylmar. To start their day of energy efficiency learning, students from across the San Fernando Valley were greeted by energy heroes at the Discovery Cube. Community members came together to raise awareness among students living in low-resource communities about green career opportunities available to them.
It's about energizing our kids to think about what could I do to help in the green economy transition? What jobs are out there? So a lot of our exhibitors are talking to them about, jobs that they could possibly someday have that can help us as we transition to a more sustainable future.
Held for the first time in the San Fernando Valley, the free event is an opportunity for middle school students to be exposed to technologies, sustainability, and energy efficiency through hands-on experiences. Many teachers say the event is truly for the kids.
Today just makes me feel so overjoyed and elated. We're having a good time doing hands-on science. We're here learning about green energy, and the students are getting a real hands-on experience, which is wonderful.
The Future Green Leaders Summit is in collaboration between local government, private industry, and higher education institutions. To support academic excellence, as well as college and career readiness, there were resource fair booths, STEAM exhibits, and performances. Booth leaders presented fun and interactive lessons to the students. Event organizers say the overall goal of the summit is for these young scholars to learn more about clean energy resources that reduce carbon emissions, create jobs, and efforts to create a cleaner, greener, healthier planet.
I want to go to college to study to be an architect, because I like building, and part of that requires science, math, and I like that type of stuff. So I really hopefully being here helps me learn more about that and get opportunities for that.
Students even took part in breakout sessions inside the Discovery Cube, where they were able to do things such as shop for healthy foods and recycle and reduce waste while playing games. And the Discovery Cube is open every day to the public from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Reporting in Sylmar, for Valley View News, I'm Eliza Portillo.
Eliza, thank you. A few hundred children celebrated Halloween early last weekend at a trunk or treat event. Our Brianna Small has more on how the event continues to bring a sense of community for the holiday.
Inglewood Southside Christian Church hosted a trunk or treat this past Saturday. Kids gathered around of all ages with their costumes.
So Trunk or Treat Harvest Fest is where lots of people from different churches and different backgrounds they come and show support.
I've been coming to Inglewood Southside Trunk or Treat Harvest Fest for about 15 years now, since I was a little girl.
I'm Brianna Small reporting from Valley View News. Back to you.
Brianna, thank you. The source for the E. coli outbreak in McDonald's Quarter Pounders was found to be onions. The CDC tested beef patties for the virus, and the results came back negative. Consumption of the popular menu item has resulted in 1 death and 75 people falling ill across 13 states. The onions in question are believed to be from a single provider.
More to come on Valley View News. A baseball expert discusses the ins and outs on the historic series between the Dodgers versus Yankees.
Is fall weather finally here? We'll tell you in our forecast.
And is Fernando Valenzuela the Dodgers' lucky charm? This and more when we return. Don't go away.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Julie was always a voracious reader. She'd carry 2 novels on an airplane because she'd read one on a 3-4 hour ride. And at some point, I began to notice that she would read a page and couldn't remember what she had just read, and she'd have to go back and read it again.
I don't remember much these days after I read, but less does for me, and I love it.
My name's Stacy, I'm 57, and I was adopted in 2020. One teen can come in and make you look at life in a whole different way.
You know, he's my father, so I look up to him a lot. If I can be 10% of the man he is, I'll be a happy person for sure.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org.
Welcome back. Our Los Angeles Dodgers continue to knock it out of the park in the World Series. Our Brianna Small sat down with Giselle Hassan to discuss the potential outcomes and the magnitude of the series itself.
Thank you. Today I'm speaking with Giselle Hassan. Yankees are back in the World Series. How do you feel?
Well, it's compelling for 2 reasons, obviously, Bree. Well, one, Yankees-Dodgers. Okay, they've met 11 times in previous World Series, and it's been 43 years since the teams have played. But the most compelling thing for this year immediately is 2 best teams in baseball. The Yankees had the best record in the American League. The Dodgers had the best record in the National League in baseball, and it's 2 traditional powers clashing for the World Series championship.
And I know, as you mentioned, the Dodgers, we also want to mourn as well Fernando Valenzuela, who has died.
Yeah, Fernando passed away, and I mean, just a whole legacy. Obviously, a Dodger icon, but also an icon for the city of Los Angeles, where you consider where the location of Dodger Stadium is. And I'm old enough to remember when that was all starting, and I was a very young baseball fan, and it was amazing because back then, it wasn't like it is today, where you have 24-hour round-the-clock coverage. And I remember growing up on the East Coast, and Fernando would be the lead story. Once the Yankees and Mets were done, Fernando would be the lead story because of that amazing start he had. And then actually, I think either today or yesterday when we're taping is the anniversary of his World Series win in 1981. Now, the Dodgers won the World Series in 1981, 4-2 over the Yankees. But what's interesting is the Yankees won the first 2 games. Fernando won Game 3, and then the Dodgers went on to win that series.
And it's a rematch matchup.
Yeah, it's a great matchup of great players. The Dodgers, obviously, Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman. The Yankees, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Garrett Cole. And so it's really interesting. The SoCal aspect of it is Game 1 on Friday will be Jack Flaherty, who was a Harvard Westlake High School, and then Garrett Cole went to Orange Lutheran. So it's a little Southern California connection. And then I'm sure it's been pointed out that both managers, Dave Roberts played college baseball at UCLA. I'm a college baseball guy. And Aaron Boone played college baseball at USC. So there's a lot of SoCal.
It's like a confirmation.
A lot of SoCal going on.
Right now with USC and UCLA.
Yes.
It's like, what could you say that has worked for them this season to get them this far?
I think this goes for both teams. I mean, as far as from a Yankee perspective, the people, obviously, everybody talks about Judge and Soto, and deservedly so. But, John Carlos Stanton was the MVP of the ALCS. And then, guys who who struggled a little bit for parts of the regular season, Alex Verdugo. People wanted him. They were like, let's play the rookie, Jason Dominguez instead. And he's been productive. Clay Holmes, the Yankees closer, he didn't have a great end of the season. He actually was removed from that role. He has played a big role. So, I forget, I think it was as Bill Plaschke or Shaken had written this morning that this series will more than likely, with all the superstars that are in it, right, it'll be decided by role players, guys who maybe you don't expect to have an effect on the series will more than likely have an effect on this series. Like, for example, in the Mets series, how the Dodgers bullpen really made them stand up. They were struggling in terms of starting pitching because of the injuries, but the bullpen really stepped up for the Dodgers and not only helped them win that series, but also I think played a big role in their win over the Padres.
being a Yankees fan, especially from being from the East Coast,
Mm-hmm.
how was it in New York with all those people being out there, Yankees fans and Yankees versus Dodgers? Like, how's the atmosphere?
In a word, insane, because New York is a baseball town, okay, because they have two teams and they talk about baseball. No matter what the other teams are doing, they talk about baseball 12 months out of the year in New York, you know? And maybe the only teams that maybe have, like, when the Knicks are going well or the Rangers are going well, it can get to that level of fervor. But when the Mets and Yankees are good together like they were this year, when both teams make the playoffs, it's, you know, really heated. I'm guessing it'd be the same way in LA if both it was the Dodgers and the Angels, but we haven't seen the Angels kind of do that in a little while. And just the run the Dodgers have had, I think they've been in the playoffs every year since 2013. They've won the division every year except for 2021. They've already been to 3 World Series. You know, they won the one in 2020. So, and I've always believed, even though, you know, the success obviously now is self-evident, but I've always believed LA is kind of a Dodger town. As good as the Lakers always are, LA to me will always is a Dodger town. And it's just been exacerbated over the past decade because of the success they've had. And I know this is it's a big deal in New York too, but it's obviously a big deal. You get the Yankees, and the Yankee-Dodger rivalry goes back to, you know, I know you said your family's from Brooklyn?
Yeah, my family's from Brooklyn.
Goes back to the Brooklyn days.
Especially with my mom being a Yankees fan as well.
Having followed the Yankees for a long time, this is the first time in a long time, especially in the postseason, where I think the opponent has a better bullpen. And the Dodger bullpen has performed better than the Yankee bullpen. Now, to be fair, the Yankee bullpen has been pretty good in the postseason, but they're talking about 4 and 5 game series, whereas the Dodgers had a 5-game series against the Padres and then a 6-game series against the Mets. So you worry about that a little bit. But I think the one advantage the Dodgers always have is their firepower. You know, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Ohtani, Muncy, you know, Erdman recently, everybody up and down that lineup. But the Yankees are used to the firepower playing in the American League, which will be interesting. So I really think this series comes down to the Yankees starting pitching, how much production can they get out of their starters versus how do the Yankees match up against that solid Dodger bullpen. And then the superstars, right? I mean, Ohtani, I've been waiting to see Ohtani in the postseason because I believe it would be unreal. And he's been very good, but not kind of that top level of guy that we know that he is. And then the injury to Freddie Freeman obviously factors into that because he's got to play first base. You can't DH him because of Ohtani. Hopefully the ankle's okay and he can play all the games. As far as the Yankees go, you know, Aaron Judge wasn't particularly big in either of the series. It fell on Giancarlo Stanton and Juan Soto. So that'll be an interesting aspect. Do Ohtani and Judge kind of revert to the mean, right? Play like they did in the regular season.
Thank you for coming
thank you so much
today. And back to you.
Brianna, thank you. You know, Tony, I don't know about you, but I am loving the weather lately. I love wearing long sleeves, and I'm glad we can finally be cool enough to do that.
Oh, tell me about it. Now, I don't know about you folks at home, but I've been loving this weather as well. It's cool in the morning, cool in the night. You can't go wrong, and I think our Charlie Gonzalez is more on that, right, Charlie?
I do indeed. Thank you, Tony. And I love the cold weather as well. Anytime the furnace turns on its own at home, it means that fall and winter are here. Let's take a look at the 7-day forecast starting in the San Fernando Valley. Temperatures this weekend and next week will range from the mid-60s about the low 70s. In the middle of the week, temperatures at night will hit lows of 47 degrees. At the beaches, expect some cooler temperatures ranging from the mid-60s to the 71 degrees. At night, the coast will be cool, ranging from the low to mid-50s. Transitioning to downtown Los Angeles, temperatures will be moderate all week, ranging from the mid to high 60s, and once the sun goes down, the temperature throughout the week will have a smaller range, only from 51 to about 54 degrees. Moving east to the Inland Empire, this weekend we'll see sunny skies, but it will be partly cloudy during the week. Temperatures in the mid to high 60s during the day, and from the low to high 40s at night. And don't forget, daylight savings begins on Sunday. Make sure to set your clocks back an hour Saturday night. When we come back, how the Dodgers honored Fernando Valenzuela during the World Series. Also, the Lakers are off to a hot start. Stay with us.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. 2 milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is,
Fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know.
In 4 days. There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children. She didn't know what to do. Did you have a good day at school? She gave them some broth. Without any bread. There you go. And kiss them all soundly. Night night. Good night. And put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Sport clubs and Matador Sports Network are in a period of transition. Charlie Gonzalez has more on where the program was and what it's aiming to add in the near future.
Matador Sports Network and CSUN Sport Clubs are in a period in transition, with different employees leaving, as well as new projects being developed.
Although students don't make spending decisions, management takes their ideas on how to improve broadcasts and help them come to fruition.
It's something that not a lot of other sport club departments have, which makes it super crucial and unique to CSUN, and it wouldn't be feasible without the work of the students.
It's the responsibility of veteran producers to foster a positive culture and make sure the new recruits are well equipped once they leave.
The culture of the sports club, MSN specifically, is like very welcoming. Everybody there is like super fun, but they're also very good teachers as well.
New additions to improve the sport club's program, short-term and long-term, are currently in the works.
We want to see if we can add a shade structure for archery, so get that built on the north field, and then also this is going to be very far in the future, but start the talks of what it would take to get our own sport club's facility.
The Student Recreation Center is home of Matador Sports Network and sport clubs. Anyone interested in starting a club or joining can always visit the MSN office right past the entrance to the left. From the Student Recreation Center, I'm Charlie Gonzalez. Back to you in the studio.
Charlie, thank you. You know, Tony, there is an elephant in the room, and I think it's wearing a blue Dodgers hat.
I mean, what can I tell you? Dodgers, Dodgers, Dodgers. That's all there is to talk about. Or is it? More sports, right, Spencer? Isn't there much more to talk about besides the Dodgers?
Right, we got a lot going on in sports. It's a great time to be an LA fan, but we have to talk about Fernando Valenzuela. As you guys know, he passed away, and we would like to send our condolences to the family of his. He passed away at 63 years old. Valenzuela was a Dodger legend who won 2 championships with the team. The Dodgers honored him before Game 1 of the World Series by placing a ball on the mound underneath his number. They're also going to be honoring him throughout the World Series and next season by wearing a patch on their jerseys. On to the game, it was electric to say the least. Let's get right to the end. 10th inning, bases loaded, 2 outs. Freddie Freeman heads to the plate, and in the shades of Kirk Gibson, he sends the first pitch he sees to deep right field for a walk-off grand slam. It's the first walk-off grand slam in World Series history. After a season where he has dealt with health issues with his son and a sprained ankle, he and his wife are now giving away 2 World Series tickets on their Instagram. Game 2 of the World Series came right down to the end as well. Freddie Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez, and Tommy Edman each homered. Fast forward to the top of the 9th inning, the Yankees had the bases loaded with 2 out. Alex Vesia came into the game, and it only took 1 pitch to get a flyout and a 2-0 series lead. The Dodgers are set to head to the Bronx for games 3 through 5. Shohei Ohtani is expected to play going forward despite suffering a shoulder injury. The NBA season is also underway, and LeBron James and the Lakers are already making history. LeBron and his son Bronny became the first father-son duo to take court in NBA history. The Lakers started the season 3-0 with wins over the Timberwolves, Suns, and Kings. Against the Kings, LeBron finished with a triple-double, scoring 32 points and totaling 14 rebounds and 10 assists. Anthony Davis is also having a strong start to the season, averaging 34 points and 11 rebounds. The Clippers are starting their new season in the newly built Intuit Dome in Inglewood. They will also be without Kawhi Leonard for the foreseeable future. They started their season 2-1 with back-to-back wins over the Nuggets and Warriors. James Harden appears to be the focal point of the offense, averaging 25 points and 11 assists per game. Norman Powell is also having a hot start to the season, averaging over 24 points per game. Meanwhile, Week 8 of the NFL season is in the books. The Rams kicked it off with a 30-20 win over the Vikings, but not without some controversy after a no-call face mask penalty that essentially sealed the game. Wide receivers Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp made their return to the field after dealing with injuries the past couple of weeks. They combined for 157 yards on 12 receptions and a touchdown. They are set up for a divisional battle against the Seahawks next week. The Chargers hosted the Saints this week. In what was a tightly contested first half, the Chargers were able to pull away in the second half, winning 26-8. Quarterback Justin Herbert finished with 279 yards and 2 touchdowns, both of which he found wide receiver Ladd McConkey. The Chargers are set to travel to Cleveland for a matchup against the Browns. Switching to college, USC won comfortably against Rutgers 42-20. Quarterback Miller Moss tossed for 308 yards and 2 touchdowns. Running back Jaquavius Marks also contributed 3 touchdowns of his own. They improved to 4-4 on the season and are set to travel to Washington for a Big Ten matchup. On the ice, the Anaheim Ducks lost to the Devils 6-2. Devils right winger Stefan Noisen scored 2 goals and goalie Jacob Markstrom totaled 24 saves. The Ducks ended up falling to 3-4-1 on the season. But luckily, that's not the only team in Southern California. The Kings improved to 4-4-1 with a 3-2 win over the Utah Hockey Club. Defenseman Joel Edmondson scored twice to essentially seal the win for LA. UFC 308 took place in Abu Dhabi, and it was headlined by a featherweight championship fight, with Ilia Topuria making his first title defense against former champion Max Holloway. Topuria became the first person to ever knock out Holloway, doing so with 1:34 to go in the third round. The co-main was a middleweight fight between Khamzat Chimaev and Robert Whittaker. Chimaev made quick work of Whittaker by breaking his jaw and forcing a submission in the first round. Whittaker addressed his injury on Instagram, saying he will be back soon. But that's all I have for sports. Back to you, Jess and Tony.
Yeah, thank you for that, Spencer. You know, Dodgers versus Yankees. I think that's the game on everyone's lips, and I think I speak for everyone in the studio and at home. But anyways, a man in North Carolina won $1 million from a scratch-off lottery ticket that he purchased with a $20 bill he found in the parking lot. The winner, Jerry Hicks, says the convenience store didn't have the ticket he initially wanted, so he had to buy a different one instead. He has chosen to receive the money in a lump sum of $600,000. To celebrate his luck, he took his family to Golden Corral to eat as much as possible. Hicks plans to use the money to retire and help out his kids. That's all for us at Valley View News. I'm Tony Santos.
And I'm Jess Brumana. For stories any time of the day, see our YouTube channel at Valley View News and our Instagram page at Valley View News CSUN.